Hi and welcome back. So it has been a minute, but I think I remember how to do this. So I just felt like filming a video, and I had a few ideas, and the end of the year is approaching, and so I decided to do a sort of mishmash so I could just chat about books for a little bit. And yeah, so by the title you would have seen this is a little bit of a last now next, so a wrap up of currently reading and a TBR altogether. So first of all, let's start with the last. So a couple of books that I have finished recently and that I just wanted to talk about. Actually, let me grab one of them. So one of the last books I finished was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I'm sure if you read romance or if you are on the internet about books, on the book internet at all, you've heard about this before. But I loved it and I needed to shout about it a little bit. So I think probably in my mid-year book freakout deck, I talked about having read Beach Read and really enjoyed it. And for me, this one was even better. I think so. A trope that I really like is the grumpy sunshine trope, but this is sort of grumpy, and somehow it worked even better for me. I think the like banter between the two main characters in here, to me, is like even better than in Beach Read. The small town setting also really worked for me, even though that's not always the case. I just love Charlie Lastro, and if you've read it, you know. But yeah, this is about Nora, who's an agent, and Charlie, who's a book editor. Also, of course, the book adjacent setting was a big win for me. But she goes to spend a month in this small town with her sister, and in this sister relationship is also very good as well. Like, it was one of the things that made me love it so much. And yeah, she goes to this small town to spend a month there over the summer, since it's publishing's slow season, and she keeps running into her like work nemesis. But yeah, this was great. I'm so glad I read it. Now I have You and Me on Vacation left to read by Emily Henry, which I guess everyone says is the most different out of the three, because that one is Friends to Lovers. But I'm still excited for it. I think I could love it as well. Something else I read recently that I wanted to talk about is Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. This one is the first in a fantasy trilogy, I believe, and I read it on audio, and it was amazing as an audiobook. I feel like I don't tend to listen to fantasy books just because I feel like it feels more daunting, like I'm not going to be able to grasp everything, like all the world building, and there's usually, a fair amount of characters in fantasy. But this one was very, very good. Nicola Coughlan narrates it, and I think she did a stellar job. You might know her, she's the actress from Derry Girls and Bridgerton, and she just also does great as an audiobook narrator. So this one follows a group of friends in her like 30s, and they're all witches, and some of them are involved with this institution, Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and there's a prophecy about the end of the world basically, and it's just, to me, it was a very good mix of like the magic bits, the relationship bits. I think there's like four main characters. I think each of them was really well like constructed. I really like believed them as characters. I had never read anything by Juno Dawson before, but I'm definitely going to be continuing on this series. The ending, I loved the whole book. The ending was maybe like a tiny bit rushed, and it ended in a like cliffhanger-ish, but that was like quite shocking. So it almost like, it didn't like make me enjoy it less, but I feel like I want each book, even if they're part of a series, I want each book to like be a thing by itself. I feel like that's a very interesting conversation, like how do we judge books that are part of a series. But yeah, I feel like almost that it was a very big impact in the moment, but it almost made me like enjoy it a tiny bit less, because I was like, it's just too much of a shock at the end. Not that it needed to like wrap up like really nicely, but I feel like it did both of those things. Like it tried to wrap everything up really nicely and then also give you a big shock. I don't know what it would have wanted. I'm really happy with the ending as is. But yeah, I don't know if I'm explaining that super well, but I did really enjoy it. Now let me tell you about what I'm currently reading. So in November I started like 3 fairly big books. So now December started and I'm sort of just in the middle of those 3 at the moment. I have 2 of them here. One of them is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. 600 pages. I haven't read a single book over 500 pages this year, and somehow I thought it was a great idea to just start this massive thing right at the end. I am, let's see, this much into it, so not that much, but I am really enjoying it. I am reading, this is the Catalan translation, and this really beautiful hardback, one of those naked ones with no dust jacket. I also showed this in my mid-year freakout tag because it's a beautiful book. I honestly didn't know that much about Jane Eyre, aside from things that I feel happen like way like later on. But I didn't know that this spanned Jane Eyre's like whole life basically. So when the book starts, she's a child. She's like 8, 9. And so far she's not that much older at the point in the book where I'm at. But I feel like the 3 books I started in November, these 3 bigger books, they were all daunting to me in some way. This one because it is a classic and because it's like longer than my average read. But reading it in my native language definitely lessens that feeling that it's gonna be like too long for me or too smart for me or too like classic for me. But yeah, I'm having a good time so far, just following Jane with, and like not the best of upbringings with not the best like family. But yeah, I'm really interested to see where the novel goes. I'm really interested because I know she needs to come to like the point of marrying someone. So I don't know if there's gonna be like a big jump at some point or if she's just gonna like gradually grow up. And I'm excited to find out. Next is a non-fiction. This is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This book I started reading ages ago as an ebook and then just put it down because honestly, for the dumbest reason, I was enjoying it so much that I just wanted to have my own copy and be able to underline it and just mark it as much as I wanted to. So that's what I'm doing now, but I'm doing it so slowly. So Robin Wall Kimmerer is a scientist. I think she's a botanist, and she's also a member of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. And in this book, she explores science and indigenous knowledge and how she's been able to sort of bring the both of them into the way that she works, into the way that she understands the world. And it's truly amazing. Like I feel like nature related nonfiction is something that I really want to delve more into, like in the coming year and just the coming months. But this one, I love the way it's separated. Like the different chapters are just, they start related to different anecdotes in her life or even different plants, and each one just ends up like posing a question about how we understand nature or about how something in nature works. I also really enjoy how the teachings and the sort of mythology of her indigenous nation is brought into it, because I think it's I guess you understand it like as a sort of religion, just like the Potawatomi Nation like teachings about nature and about how we as humans relate to the rest of the natural world. It's just amazing. I feel like everyone talks wonders about this book, so I'm just adding to it. But I'm really excited to keep going, even if it is at a very slow pace. And the last book I'm currently reading is one that again was like daunting to me. I don't have it because I'm reading it on Kindle, but it is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, the first book in the Farseer trilogy and also the first book in the 16 book world of the realm of the Elderlings. Yeah, I didn't think that that's what I was gonna be reading. Like high fantasy, start of this like massive, super well known series. And again, I was intimidated because it's high fantasy. That's not really like my thing. And also it's just like so expansive that I was just like daunted to like go into it. I'm having a great time. I'm like a third into it more or less. And I'm really enjoying like the slow, like very little by little, like build up of the world, the like different relationships of the main character. It's really cool how you, as the world keeps expanding for you, it's also as it keeps expanding for the main character, as he gets to know more people and just know more about the world that he lives in. And something I'm really enjoying is at the beginning of a chapter, we have a little bit of like in-world lore, which I didn't know I didn't know until I started reading, I mean, is the main character trying to write down a history of the land of the six duchies, which is really cool to see what he's writing like in the future, so things he knows now and didn't know in the present moment of the story. I'm sure you've heard this series being like explained 1,000 times if you're like into fantasy at all. But we have Fitz, who is the bastard son of the prince, who's the king in waiting. And one day he just like gets brought onto the like keep to like be cared for by the royal family, since he's like one of them. And from then you just have him thrown into this world that hadn't like been part of his life at all. Him like, as I said, like meeting different people, starting to be trained like as a tool, although that like, has just started happening and is like going by little. Really cool. I feel like it's a big like project that I'm taking on, starting this series, but I'm liking it a lot so far, so I'm excited to keep going. And finally, for the last bit of this video, just want to tell you about what my plans for the rest of the year are. Of course, I'm currently reading these 3 books, so I'm planning on continue reading them. Hopefully love all the 3 of them as much as I'm loving them right now. And then I just have a couple other things that, being really ambitious, I would love to read. So one of them is, I mean, if I don't read it before the end of the year, I will read it really early on in 2023. But it is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, which I feel like has taken the book world by storm. Gabrielle Zevin wrote one of my favorite books, which is The Storied Life of AJ Fikry. I read it at the beginning of the first lockdown in 2020, and I loved it like with my whole heart. It's one of those stories that was really emotional, and it's like really small in scope, but talks about everything important in life, sort of. And I feel like this one, I don't know that much into it. I know it's about these 2 people who meet when they are young and then reconnect later in life, and I think work together to build a video game. That's all I know about it, but having read how Gabrielle Zevin does relationships and just little life things, I'm really excited to get to it. I was really anticipating this coming out, and I've been really surprised, but like gladly surprised about how much people have been talking about it and how much it seems that everyone is enjoying it. And I'm so excited to love it as well. something else that I would like to squeeze in if I have time or make time for is Make Your Mind This Christmas, which is a Christmas rom-com. I think it has bi representation, and I just heard it's like really cute and fun, and I don't know loads about it, but the cover looks really cute and I would love to read it because last year around Christmas time I read Amor Actually, which is a Christmas short story romance anthology by I think 7 or 8 Latinx authors, and all the like storylines are inspired by the stories in the movie Love Actually, which I think is very good but also kind of bad but also very good. I loved that anthology to the point where I was just thinking of rereading it this year, which I feel like I still might, although I don't think I will have time for that many things. But yeah, I wanted to pick a different Christmassy romance book, so I think I'll give this one a try. And finally, something else that I would like to squeeze in, but I don't know how probable that is Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie. This is a coming-of-age young adult novel, I think also with a bi protagonist. And this one I've been sort of eyeing since it came out. I think it sounds very good. I've like picked it up in bookshops a few times, just read the first page, and I think I'm going to really enjoy the writing style. And also, I've been doing the Buzzwordathon challenge all throughout the year. I haven't really been doing each month with each word. So if you don't know, Buzzwordathon is a yearly challenge where for each month you have a different prompt to fulfill with a book title. And so I've just been trying to get to all 12 of them during the year, not necessarily in the allotted month. But the last prompt I have to complete is a book with the word all in the title. And I would really want to read Ophelia After All. So that's basically it for me. That's my little end of the year book chat with wrap up and everything else included. Thank you so much for joining me. It's nice to film a book video again. Sort of missed it, but been really busy as well. So yeah, let me know what you plan to read with whatever we have left of 2022, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.